And good morning, everybody, whether you're on the East Coast, West Coast, or around the world. This is your Wednesday wrap-up. And, of course, like every Wednesday, I am here with my man, Mr. Yu and Herb. Grab your coffee, buckle up, let's go. How you doing, guys?
Doing good, man. I need what's inside this cup right now.
No doubt.
I need the magic that it brings.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Let's go.
Well, so, we have to kick this thing off with the passing of an absolute legend. Passed away last night at 93, and that is the great Willie Mays. And, not that he needs a ton of introduction or anything like that, but his impact to the game is second to none. And, of course, even during the height of his playing days, there were conversations of who was better between Hank Aaron and Willie Mays. And, but I mean, you can't argue what he did for the game.
Yeah, this one hits different for me because, even though it doesn't look like it now in my older years, baseball was my first sports love, and that happening and being born in Brooklyn doesn't make a lot of sense because that's always a basketball town. It kind of still is, but for some reason, baseball just captured my attention and captured my imagination. I thought that I'd be more than a left fielder, well, I was a right fielder in this case, and part-time third baseman. But I really thought I would be doing something professionally, so it was just a big part of that to see these guys. I didn't get to see Willie Mays play, but him and Jackie Robinson had a profound influence on my life. To hear how they, endured the unspeakable and still was able to inspire a generation. I mean, we got people out here on Twitter, man. If you insult them the wrong way or say something bad about what they posted, they'll shut their whole Twitter account down for and they'll stop building whatever they were trying to build before, and they'll stop it because their feelings are hurt. These guys went through hell on earth for the most part and still continue to do what they were able to do, which is make history in a sport that didn't invite them in. I mean, the numbers that Willie Mays has, it's incredible. I mean, 24 all-star teams, 660 career home runs. I mean, he had over 3,090 hits. I mean, he had a career 301 batting average. I mean, the man, you don't hear about that kind of stuff, but he's still in the record books. I mean, 6 all-time in home runs still. After all these years, all these big names that we have grown accustomed to, he's still 6 all-time in home runs, still 7th in runs scored, still 12th in ribbies. I mean, still 13th in hits. I mean, he's holding standing records right now. This was decades ago. This is 1948 we're talking about. So,
well, I mean, even to that point, if you make a catch over your shoulder running back to the wall, they call it a Willie Mays catch today. Like if you do that in the outfield today, they will call it that.
Yeah. I tried that in real life a couple of times. One time it looked pretty good, but other times not so great. It's not advised to catch balls like that. But I mean, he was amazing, man. I can't say enough about him. Like I said, I didn't know him personally, but I'm definitely going to miss him. And one quick note, I think Herb might be interested in knowing about, if he didn't already know already. The day that he passed away, I think it was yesterday, right?
Yeah.
2 days from, I guess it'll be tomorrow, I guess. The Giants and the Cardinals are playing in Birmingham at Rickwood Field in Birmingham. I don't know if you know it or not. It's the kind of honor of the Negro Leagues. If you're in the Birmingham area, I strongly advise you to get to that game, take in some of that rich piece of history. I think you'll be better for it by seeing some of the history that we don't get to see that much of now or hear about.
Well, and you know that there's going to be some sort of tribute there also. So that's going to be an awesome game if you can get there.
Yeah. I think it just happens that we're not around when that happened because actually Big Mike was one of the first people to bring that to my attention and see about if we were going to go. But to a lot of your points, like I mean, I'm not even a big baseball guy, but I'm sitting there, just like reading through the articles and talking about him. People are still in awe of him, today. And to me, that's amazing because, the kind of society we're in right now is we try to erase the legends like every day. It's like, hey, don't you think this guy's better than Willie Mays? Like, the guy that just started yesterday? Yeah, don't you think? And,
One good at bat, though.
Yes. You know what I mean? And you're just like, I'm just like this whole morning, I've just been reading through the stories, man. And it's just like, you hate that you never got to see, in person, like just by reading what people say about it and how amazing he was. And they're like, look, the stats can only do him so much justice. They're like the way he carried himself and the flair that he had for the game. It's like one guy even said, like, look, man, you might debate, who the greatest of all time. It's like, but he's always in that conversation right there because of the whole totality of his skills and everything. And then just what he brought to the game off the field too, as well. So man, it's just sad. That's a tough passing right there. And then but it does, I think, allow you to kind of reflect more, on his life. And man,
I want to say one quick thing real quick before you jump in, Bo.
Yep.
One of the things that made, for me, baseball such a special thing for me in that time, the game has changed, and even the nuances around it have changed. A lot has changed about it. But one thing that you hear about Willie Mays, that you hear that in every article you read, I'm sure that word going to be, you're going to hear the word joy. This man loved baseball. I mean, he got videos of him out here playing stickball in the streets. That's where I come from. That was my thing. You know what I'm saying? He had a joy for the game.
Yep.
Some of these guys out here right now, watch the game right now and tell me if you see joy across the board. It's not there. So that makes him even more rare. That makes even his life and his legacy even that much more special. But go ahead, bro. Sorry about jumping in.
Oh no, you're good. I was just gonna say he brought really to that point joy and a flair for fun for the game. Right? He was a showman in that way, which is why he started doing all the basket catches out in center field, or the fact that he wore a hat that was a size too small because he knew that fans like to see the hat fly off and players go back and pick it up. And, there was an entertainer flair to the way he played the game. And, that was kind of ahead of his time in that way. So, and honestly, kind of something that we've seen leave the game.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of showmen out there anymore.
Yeah.
Now it feels like there's a lot more egos. It kind of went through this. It kind of went through the baseball in general. I mean, kind of went through this. It was that gentleman's game that kind of grew, and then the entertainers started getting into it, and then they've kind of worked their way back out of it. And it's, and I don't know if some of that is just with rule changes or what it is, or maybe it's just the dollar figure that they get paid now, but they don't seem to have a flair for fun in the game. Like when you do see it, it's almost rare. So when you do see it out there now, you're just like, oh, wow, that's kind of cool to see some guys just out there looking like they're having fun. You just don't see that the way you used to.
Yeah. I think there's like specific things in there that you're allowed to do in baseball to show. And it's like, I think it's also a combination of, you said, like the money, where a lot of these guys are approaching it more like a business than like a sport that they're playing for fun, And I think, like you said, he was able to do that and pull it off and never look like, I'm not trying to show you up. Like, I'm just trying to entertain those people, that came here to watch us play and really are paying these salaries. And I'm having some fun doing it, and that's what's going to bring you to the ballpark. And I think it is tougher and tougher to find a good mix of those players these days.
Absolutely. So on the other side of that, we have the return of another legend, Dick Vitale. Beat cancer for the third time and is cleared to go back to broadcasting college basketball for this fall. So awesome for him. And, with so many of these guys either getting let go from networks or, just retiring, whatever. Good to see an icon making his way back.
No, agreed. So it's funny because Dick Vitale is one of those like love him or hate him guys.
Sure.
But he symbolizes, college basketball. He just has a pure love for the game, and it's really not the same without him in the game, no matter what you think of it either way. So obviously, kudos to him, man. I hope I'm glad the recovery is going well. And it'd be great to see him back in there. Even if I'm the one muting him in the end, you know what I mean? But he just has that kind of presence, man. And yeah, he's got his catchphrase, he's got his stuff, but what he does have is a love for the game, and it shows on every single broadcast.
Well, and he brings an energy that
Yes.
that you wouldn't expect out of a guy his age.
Right.
Right? He is genuinely excited to be on that court every time he's there.
Yeah. And you can tell, and he's excited for the kids, and he's passionate for them, man. You know, you could tell that he fights for them every time he's out there, right? It's not really about him.
Yep.
It's about like the game that he loves. So no, I think that shows every single broadcast consistently with him.
Yeah, I'm kind of where you are. I mean, I watched a lot of games that he was a part of. You know, even though we didn't have a real college basketball team where I come from growing up, you know, I did watch a lot of the game that he was a part of. You know, like you said, I think you said it, Herb. You know, that either love it or you don't love it. You know, I'm kind of like, you know, after a while, it's like, okay, I respect what he does, but so much like how I feel about Lee Corso. College game day, I get excited about it because I know it's the start of something that I enjoy, which is college football, especially on a Saturday morning when it's nice outside and you could be doing a lot of other stuff. You know, sometimes being home watching college football, it does something for me. But hearing Lee Corso continuously, it's like, okay, this is a lot. But so I respect the legends in this game and to have done that, you know, for so many years with longevity. I'm glad that Vital is doing a lot. Mr. Vital doing a lot better, and he's in a better place for sure. You know what I'm saying, but you know, I almost don't know what to say here. I'm glad he's doing well. I'm not really a fan. I don't know what to say. I mean, I don't mean any disrespect.
No, but I think that's been part of his thing, man. Like, let's be honest, man. It's kind of like the Bill Walton thing, you know. Definitely a legend of the game. Definitely personality showed on every single time, right? Was a lover or hated guy, but the same thing kind of applies here, man. You could tell he loved the Pac-12. He loved doing those late night broadcasts, and his fans would be 1,000% behind him. Yeah, were there a lot that didn't? Yeah, but those guys all stay true to who they were. Bill Walton never changed a thing. Vital is never going to change a thing, you know. And they're like, look, this is who I am. This isn't for show. You know, you never watched a broadcast where all of a sudden Dickie V was just sitting there just kind of like, yeah, it was okay. You know, you're like, no. He's the same every time. Bill Walton was like, yeah, he probably smoked a doobie and then got on the air every single time. And you just kind of expected that from him. You know what I mean? But I think the fans would tell you, the fans of those particular guys would tell you, like I said, it was the consistency and the love of the sport that would keep them on broadcast, you know?
Yeah, I mean, like, I don't seek out a Vital broadcast, but when you see him out there, whether you like him or not, he definitely brings that youthful exuberance to his broadcast. And so I respect that a lot. Again, not my favorite broadcaster by any means, but, you know, beating cancer for a third time is amazing. And so no, I mean, awesome for him to get back out there. That is fantastic. But yeah, I mean, similar with Walton there, wasn't a huge Walton fan, right? But you respected what he brought to the game.
Right.
So, and with so many legends kind of finding their way out of jobs, it's nice to see one return. You know, I mean, and that could be said all over the place, because one of the things that cracks me up is, you know, they're getting rid of what was it? What is the NBA show? I don't know.
Oh yeah, Charles Barkley and TNT. Yeah, Inside the NBA.
Yeah, there we go. Inside the NBA. I was like, why am I mind blanking that show? But the thing that's hilarious is Chuck is like the least prepared dude ever. Right? Like, most of the time he doesn't even know who's playing in the game.
Yes.
He's just like, oh, dude is down low and getting banged. And you're just like, first off, you're saying nonsense.
Right.
And you don't even know what teams are playing. Like, so when he was, I know, Raj. It was just slipping my mind.
Oh, boy.
Wait. This is also noteworthy that Bo has taken the first insult of the day from Raj and not me. Like, am I losing my stature here? Like, what's right? Like, I feel a little hurt.
19th. I read them all this on the calendar because this may have never ever happened before in history.
You know, he's probably just muting it when you're talking. That's really
Oh man.
Either that or, this is the first ones were just pre-typed, and then this one he's actually watching.
Maybe we should start insulting Raj to kind of make it more equal and reciprocal.
There you go. There you go, Raj. I appreciate that, buddy.
That is
horrific. That's like bad, but more.
All right. So,
well, wait, I did cut across you. You were talking about Charles Barkley, though. I don't know if you finished that.
Oh, yeah. No, I mean, it's always hilarious. I'm surprised that show lasted as long as it did. Yeah. It is really kind of where I was going there, because Shaq could at least kind of talk about the game, and you understood what he was talking about most of the time. But anytime Chuck was out there, you're just like, dude, what are you even talking about? Like, did you watch the game we're talking about right now?
Chuck fit what they were doing as far as being entertaining, right? And really, hilarious. Chuck was survived because Ernie and Kenny Smith were very consistent in bringing it back to. And sometimes Kenny still would go, Chuck, I don't know what you're talking about. He would actually just say it, bro. I don't even know what point you're trying to make. You know what I mean? But Kenny Smith, there was a reason why Kenny Smith was kind of like even interviewed for some, thought about for some coaching jobs for like a brief little period in there. He does bring a little bit more of semblance of normalcy. And then Ernie, I guess he's won an award for the way he handles things. Like he always knew how to, all right, Chuck, you're off the rails. We're going to rein it back in. You know what I mean? And Chuck is always Chuck. Like you said, he wakes up, put on his suit, probably arrives 2 minutes before the show. And they're like, hey, show, here's the notes for who's playing. He was like, yeah, okay. I'm good.
Exactly.
One of the Timberwolves games, the ends of it, and he called the guy they were interviewing the wrong name. And everybody just looks and goes like, it's not PJ Watt. Okay, just making sure. You know what I mean? It's just.
The best part about him is he cared so little that he doubled down on it.
Yeah. That's fine.
Calling you the wrong name doesn't even matter.
So Chuck is definitely always Chuck. When now he's retiring, he said no matter what happens. So.
Yep. Well, I guess if we're on the NBA anyway, talk about a fall from grace for the Lakers. They can't even find a coach that really wants to coach there now. UConn coach goes back, and now they're talking about JJ Redick. And he'd be a first-time coach. Is he getting considered because he's on a podcast with LeBron? Is that really what we're doing at this point?
It's definitely a bad look. I'll say that. So first off, I said that when they had Darvin Ham. You have a team that has championship aspirations, right? And you're really championship or bust with LeBron. Like there's no, hey, we just need to make the playoffs, right? You have to be pushing for the whole thing. I'm trying to figure out why they keep putting a never before coach in these positions and then wondering why things go wrong. You put a new coach in a team, maybe a young team or something like that, right? That's like, okay, we have time to figure it out. Everybody's got a learning curve. No, not like, hey man, we need you to figure it out, by October. Can you speed this up? I don't get it. And then you add to that the LeBron factor in your coaching. How much coaching are you actually getting done? It just seems like a terrible, like JJ Redick is getting fired in 3 years. If he gets 3, maybe I'll give him 2. Like I don't get this whole thing.
Yeah, he'd get 2, right? The first year they'll credit the failure. Unless it is just horrendous, right? But if they do okay, they'll be like, well, it's his first year, kind of figuring things out. And then if it looks similar the second year, it'd be a wrap. Right. But by the end of the second year, LeBron's probably done anyway.
Right. Which, by the way, I don't think he wants any piece of that team. Sorry, Mr. You go ahead. My bad.
No, you're good. I'd love to hear from the resident Laker fans on our team, but I just feel like this is a rough spot to put Redick in. I like him as far as his work is concerned. I don't know him as a coach. Right? I like him as far as his work goes, and I hate to see him in this spot. I feel like a lot of people, maybe Raj may disagree, but a lot of people may be hesitant to join his team because of the self-proclaimed king.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And his impact. It always felt to me like he's not somebody you can coach. I'm not saying that's not true. I'm just saying my perception from what I've read and seen that's come my way before my eyes, it feels like he's somebody that you can't really coach. He kind of gets above that. So you got that going on in there for a new coach coming in that doesn't have any experience probably. Who's going to be the real voice in the room, the real influence in the room? And if by some chance LeBron's son is drafted on this team, add pressure times 10. So now you're going to try to coach his son, and his father is going to be somewhere in the shadows. I doubt even if he's not on the team, he's not going to be involved in this franchise in some way, shape, or form, especially if his son's going to be there. So he's going to be there as another voice in his son's ear in one ear, and Reddick's going to be in the other. It's going to be a nightmare.
Oh, yeah.
I hate the whole idea of it. I feel sorry if anybody comes through. I'm glad Hurley changed his mind.
Yeah.
Exactly.
I think he deserves better than that. I think Reddick does too. He's the front runner. I don't know if this is a done deal. Sound like from what I'm seeing, they're just waiting to announce it. To Herb's point, fix the problems, solve that stuff. So I don't know. I don't know what's getting ready to happen, but it doesn't look good for Lakers fans. I feel for you guys, and I guess Raj has some comments he wants to share as well too.
Yeah, no, I mean, he was just saying that it would have been rough on Hurley to get there, and agreed, especially because like, if you were going to go, it would have had to have been for more money than what they were offering.
Right.
I mean, they're basically saying, hey, come to our dumpster fire, but we're going to kind of pay you kind of middle of the road money.
Right.
Why would you leave UConn?
Right. Facing a three-peat also
exactly.
to leave to get into that situation. And then one of the points that Mr. Yu made in there is the factor with his son. Imagine they do end up with his son, right? And you've got LeBron out there. And now you're like,
and an
right, we're trying to win a championship, so rookie's not going to play much anyway, right? But now I'm looking at LeBron at the end of the bench. He's looking at me. So now I'm putting his son in the game, right? Because now he's got to get a certain amount of minutes, which, by the way, is also going to hurt whatever development he gets if he's getting out there when he's not ready or if he's not getting out. You know, like, it's just like none of this makes sense for a coach. But I do agree with well, I don't agree with anything Raj says, but that little point that he made at the end, they did want Tyronn Lue, somebody who has navigated the LeBron stuff, and he didn't want to leave. And you haven't fixed the problems on the roster, and you have not been able to fix it the whole time they've been there.
Yeah.
They need more shooting, you know, and they kept Austin Reeves for a decent amount of money, took a pay, you know, he could have got more elsewhere. He decided to stay there. And then he promptly disappeared this year.
Yeah.
And you're looking at that roster. So as of the top 4 players on that team, I think the most missed games by any of them was like 70, and that wasn't AD, you know, and Austin Reeves played all the games, you know. I think it was actually LeBron, I think they played 70 of the 82. This was the healthiest you've been for a while, especially considering LeBron's age and AD being AD.
Yeah.
You didn't get anywhere this year. Are you expecting next year to be better? And then you bring a new coach into it? So I don't get it. And yes, right, like they need a consistent third. They haven't been able to find that. They thought Austin Reeves was going to be that guy, and then he wasn't. And D'Angelo Russell will never be that guy.
Well, and if what we saw and AD finally being healthy, if that's all you got out of it and you had AD healthy almost the whole year, that doesn't say good things, because that's the first time we saw AD stay healthy.
Right.
So do I think he can do that next year? No. I mean, we haven't seen it at any point in his career where you think that would be the case, which means you're not looking for a third guy. You're still looking for a second guy, honestly, because AD is going to be there for half the year. And when he's not going to be there is when you need him.
Right.
Nope. Thanks, Ross, for saying what you said too there. I'm not watching a lot of Lakers games, so I'm trying to be fair about this. But I'm trying to understand, is that your next comment about having a consistent third guy? Is that the only thing that's keeping you guys from returning to a championship? Because it feels like that's not the only thing.
No,
I know they're in the limelight a lot because they're Los Angeles Lakers, and you know, one of the greatest players in the game, arguably in history, is on the team. So I get why they're in a spotlight, why they have marquee games on TV. Totally get that. No beef from me there. We're going to have instead Sacramento Kings. I get it. That makes sense. But are you only one player away? Like, is that because my eyes don't see that.
Right.
I see other stuff happening there. Not just a third guy that can score. You need something else along with that. I think there's some issue in the paint that I saw last year that I thought hadn't been resolved yet so far. Even the draft, I'm not sure who they picked up, who they picked up in the draft, but it feels like there was some issues in the paint that I saw, some consistent shooting issues, most definitely. The coaching stuff is still a concern. Does Riddick solve that? I mean, there's more than just one thing. So I'm wondering, it's okay.
I think part of that.
Hope my point made sense, Marsh.
Well, part of what he's saying with the consistent third guy is if that guy is a shooter. So let's say that, put this in perspective. When D'Angelo Russell was on his hot streak, and he was a guy who could hit outside shots, and he was a consistent third guy, the Lakers were much better because he combined two of the things they needed: a consistent third guy who's also a good outside shooter. Then when Russell disappeared in the playoffs, the Lakers really had no shot, and that's kind of what he's saying. If your third guy can be somebody like that, and maybe Austin Reeves slides down to just being a consistent fourth guy, that helps a lot. But that third guy can't be, like when they tried Russell Westbrook. Like, your third consistent guy cannot be, the difference between a shooter and a scorer, right? They need somebody who is more of a shooter than a scorer, right? If it's like, hey, they've been talking about DeMar DeRozan, right, who is not an outside shooter, who's a mid-range guy. I don't like that fit because now it's like AD needs his touches down low. LeBron's going to have the ball a lot of hands. And now we're going to give it to him, who's going to try to get into the paint and get a mid-range shot as well. I don't like that fit.
They like a lot of ISO guys.
Yeah.
Which makes no sense.
No. Like Klay Thompson, when he was still Klay Thompson, would be a perfect fit for this team as a third guy who just had to stand over there and shoot. There's just not any, there's not like Klay Thompson just sitting around. But that's who I would put as their third guy. The problem is the inconsistency. AD being your second best, who you wanted to be your best, inconsistent. D'Angelo Russell, he might go 10 games in a row hitting, 6-7 threes a game and then go the next 10 and hit, 1 a game. You know what I mean? And then Austin Reeves just wasn't there. So I think having a good third guy will slide a lot of people down in different positions. So I think it'll solve a lot of their problems.
It is weird that they keep building a roster that has no catch and shoot guys.
Yeah.
And you have to have that. You got to have a 3-point threat because the league is nothing but a 3-point threat at this point. I mean, when we just watched the finals, we can transition into that. Actually, Boston closes this thing out in 5. And the only game that the Mavs won was because they were shooting out of their minds in that game, right? Yeah. Game 4, they're shooting 50% and they were finally hitting threes that they weren't hitting the whole rest of the series.
Right.
The league at this point lives and dies on the 3 ball.
Right.
And so if you're building a team like the Lakers and all you're doing is getting a lot of scorers and you don't have any shooters, you're going to lose most of your games.
Yeah. Yeah. And also, let's be honest, Boston looked disinterested in game 4. That kind of helped as well.
Didn't even show up.
But to your point, that's how they kind of, when they were trying to build the roster around Luka, they were like, let me get some guys that can knock some stuff down, and then let me get a couple lob threats near the basket for when he breaks it down. But yeah, it's interesting that has been the Lakers thing for like 3 years. Every year they say, we need more shooting, we need more shooting, we need more shooting. At this point, if they got a guy who was a shooter and played zero defense, they'd still be better off. Just get somebody out there that can knock down some shots. The rest of us will play the defense. We'll be fine. You know what I mean?
That was one of the things that I laughed so much about is they're like, we need more shooting. And then they bring in Westbrook. And it's like, what?
Yes. Which, and they, like, I don't know if Buddy Hield, like I said, he doesn't play much defense. All he really does is shoot. But they turned down a trade for that to pivot to Westbrook. And let's be honest, because LeBron wanted Westbrook. So, like, you want to talk about your disastrous moves, that's like Buddy Hield would have fit perfectly. A guy who doesn't ever need the ball, who's just, hey, just stand over there and shoot. You go, okay, got that. That would have been perfect. So, yeah, that's definitely what they need. I don't know if you wanted to talk about the finals, but that was kind of like, it's funny. People are talking about how was the finals, like the best team in the league for the whole year, who had one of the best playoff runs for the whole year, won the title. It was like kind of inevitable. You look at the moves they made, like, a year or two ago, getting Derek White, and then the stupid move by the Bucks, letting Drew Holiday go, and he ends up with Boston. they managed, they didn't even need Porzingis. Who was hurt most of that series, and they're just one of the best teams. And I think all 4 of those guys are now signed. Like, there's no reason, especially if you look around the Eastern Conference, that they can't really get back to the finals next year. I think the West will be tougher, and I think that'll be their best matchup. But who in the East are you really matching up with them? The Knicks get one more guy, they'll be my number 2 team. But everybody else is just looks like terrible, like just a mix of I don't know what you're going to do next year to really challenge Boston. So
now Boston can definitely run this thing back. It was kind of funny though, because as they were going through the playoffs, they did kind of have moments where you were looking at them against teams that, their path to the finals had the other team's main guy drop out in every single series. So you were looking at it like, okay, maybe the Mavs have a real shot, because some of those games look pretty ugly without having stars on the floor for their opposing team. So, it went from Boston was kind of the clear-cut favorite entering the playoffs. And then during the playoffs, even though they were playing well, they were playing against teams that were decimated by injuries. And they weren't playing well enough to have those kind of guys not on the floor, which is why when this matchup came together, you're like, okay, well, I feel like the Mavs could actually kind of create a problem here. And as soon as you watched game 1, you're like, oh yeah, no, maybe not. Yeah. maybe this is exactly the Boston team we thought they were going to be going into the playoffs. And obviously they dispatched the Mavs quick.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Game 5 was no surprise. We were actually playing poker and just had it on in the background. That's how bad that one went. Yeah. Boston jumped on them early, and I was like, all right, I guess this one's done. So they could have waved the white flag.
In that game.
No.
Yeah, I watched it in its entirety, but they were never in that game. You're just sitting there like, could you guys put something together? Could we get it within 8?
And they were like, nah, we're good.
Especially by the time you got into the third quarter, they looked like they were pretty much done. Like mentally, they look like they'd pretty much mailed it in. So, yeah. But no, to your point, I don't think anybody has anything for Boston, really.
Yeah. I certainly hope that we, at the very least, compete. We got some moves to make. I love Roger's point about J.W. Holiday. When I went down, I think we talked about it on the show that we went on together. I said, when that happened, I'm like, out of all the places that this man can go, is this really what we're doing?
Yes.
Milwaukee, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
And I'm not saying I knew they were going to a championship, but I knew that they'd be stronger.
Yep.
Jaylen Brown, White to a degree. There's another name that I'm blanking out on right now.
Tatum.
Yep.
No, of course I can't forget his. I'm talking somebody else. It's not Jaylen Brown. It's somebody else that I thought highly of.
Either Horford or Porzingis. That's their top. That's their top 6.
Yep.
Okay,
and Horford can still do work.
Yeah, absolutely. It's like you made him stronger by doing it. I'm like, wow, this is like
even at age 57, he's still balling.
Exactly.
And the money part looks good too.
Yeah.
And the money looks good too. So it's like, credit to Jaylen Brown though for locking down Luka.
Yep.
If you know where Kyrie's at, maybe try to reach out to him and make sure he's okay.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think Luka could have used his help the other day. But besides that, man, it was just
help every day.
Yeah.
It just felt like Dallas was just like, I hate to say overmatched, but it's like, wow, what would you rather have seen Minnesota in this spot than them? I'm starting to have buyer's remorse now. I'm like, would I rather have seen somebody else?
Yeah.
Would I rather watch the Thunder play in this finals than them? Anything would have been better than what we saw, because this was not good, and you didn't. It was like a totally different team out there to me.
The only player that even showed up was Luka, because Kyrie was a liability 90% of that series.
Yeah. And like you said, the defense wasn't the same as like it was, in like the all the West series. Really, like he was really bringing it when he wasn't scoring. And then this time it just was gone. I don't know. It's like Boston has gotten into his head, so when he plays at Boston, it's just terrible. And so it's like we're going to try and win the 2 games in Dallas. And when they lost game 3, I was like, yeah, that's, I mean, obviously because it's 3-0, but also just because that was their only shot was Kyrie at home. And if you can't win those games, yeah. I would have rather seen Oklahoma or Denver, I think, in that game. I don't know if you're getting much more. Yeah, I think those would have been, especially a good, healthy Denver. I think that would have been a better matchup. I wouldn't have wanted to see Minnesota. Say again.
And the result might have been different too.
Yeah, so I think they would have been the best matchup for them. But yeah, no, this was just a rough go for them.
To answer Roger's question, the answer is no.
I just think the West is getting better.
I don't see it happening unless they add somebody that we didn't expect that makes them strong, almost like what J. Rule Holiday did for Boston. I don't see it happening. I think Dallas is. I don't see it.
Yeah, they'll be a playoff team. They will not get to the finals.
I don't see it.
If the Thunder can add another scorer, I like them versus Denver in the West, and I like Boston versus the Knicks in the East. That would be my way too early.
Healthy Denver, man, is like.
It's tough.
I can't discount it. They got talent, man.
Yeah. When they're the example of like putting together a team and everybody knows their role. Like, okay, Jokic, you're going to be the guy. You're going to touch it every time now. Murray's going to break it down every time. But you also have a guy who's like, if Jokic scores 0 points in a game and can get you like 15 rebounds, 15 assists, he'd be fine. And he'd be like, hey, I'm going back to my form. Like, he doesn't care. You know what I mean? Like, he's probably one of the few superstars where the team game plan against him is make him score so he can't pass the ball around and get everyone involved. So, like, if we can get him to hit 30, we might have a better shot than if he's hitting 10. It's just one of those things. So, no, I agree with you. I'd like the Denver matchup for sure if they come back healthy and strong next year.
I feel like it's too early.
It's way too early. You got to see some moves. Yeah. We haven't even had the draft yet. So
we need to make 2 good ones. If we do that, I think we're in a different conversation.
What are the 2? Are y'all getting rid of what's the name or
Randall?
Yeah,
it doesn't look that way. But that's early, like you said, it's way early, but it doesn't seem to be that way right now. But to your point on a previous show, getting another wing is very, very wise for us. I think Josh Hart, with all that he's done, it feels almost as though he was a reserve, a backup. So getting a starting wing, I think, is a really smart move for us. I would like a couple of other things too. I like some help down in the center spot. Not saying that Mitch Robinson can't play, but I think I'd want something else there. And Hartenstein, I don't think he's give us those kind of minutes. So I definitely want something else in the starter territory. Backup point guard, somebody that can spell Brunson and still take control of the game would be great. So I named 3. I said 2. I named 3 things, but
well, I think that scoring wing. 4. No, I think that scoring wing is the most important, and it'll slide a lot of stuff down. Hart can be good just as a utility guy. Like, hey, wherever you need fill in, guy plays good defense. He doesn't mind passing the ball, getting rebounds, and he doesn't need touches. That's why I like him. But he doesn't need to be, especially after Randall injury, like he doesn't need to be the 3rd best player on the court at any time. Like you need another guy in there as like a primary guy that can score. Like you said, when Brunson's out, somebody has to do the heavy lifting. There's a lot of possessions when Brunson's not in there where they're just kind of like passing the ball around and trying to figure out what's going on, So
it's clear that depth was an issue. I mean, this matchup rosters, we always 3 or 4 players short for everybody else that we played. They all had 3 or 4, even 5 more players than we did. So depth was definitely an issue. They got to fix that part. That was just a warm body, but put some players on the team, and I think we should have the money to be able to do that. I know we got 2 draft picks in the early rounds, so it's like if those guys are the right players, not a 7'4", not a 7'4" guy from Lithuania who can shoot. Long we ain't doing no crap like that no more. No Frederick Vices. To avoid that stuff, I think would be really good because 2 picks is a good situation for yourself when you just came out of the deep in the playoffs and you got 2 high draft picks.
Right.
That's great. And you got money. It's right here. You can't blow this. This is it.
Yeah.
This is the opportunity right here. If it's someone, this is it.
No,
better than last year.
It's funny because this version of the Knicks reminded me a lot of the Suns a few years ago, where their starting rotation was good. The bench didn't have anything on it.
Yeah.
And once you get to the playoffs,
Ayton in that?
Well, the thing is, once you get to the playoffs, you need some depth.
Yeah.
Right? You need the bench to show up, and it just wasn't there. So yeah, I agree with you. Like you need some guys that can come off the bench and generate points.
Well, then to that point though, how much of that is coaching? Because Thibodeau has, a reputation of running his starters into the ground and never ever really, he doesn't ever rely on his bench. So how much of that is the depth of the team and how much of it is actually a coaching thing?
Well, in that regard, this is one area where I don't think I'm qualified to speak, so I'll pass it off. But in this case, why does he have that tendency? Where did that come from? Did it come from his time on a previous team?
All his previous teams. Like, go look at like Chicago and Minnesota. Same. So it's not a Knicks thing. It's not a Knicks thing. It is a coach Thibodeau thing. Yes.
I'm with you on that. So were those benches strong and gave him the kind of confidence that he can have them in for more minutes? He feel compelled to play starters more because the bench was not strong. If that's the case, we have this pattern right now. If it's not that, then it's a different thing in his psychology that he got to change, because you can't have his starters getting burnt out, i.e. Randall and Bojan and a whole bunch of other guys that got burnt out or got hurt because they played so many minutes. So what came first, the chicken or the egg? I'm trying to find out what happened. I don't know the answer. I'm just asking.
In this case, it's always been a thing for him. So I don't know that you'll ever know how strong the benches are because he doesn't ever give them a chance. Okay. He is known for doing that, and also known for, I guess, being a little paranoid, leaving his 20-point game, 4 minutes left. Starters might still be in just because he's one of those kind of guys. So it is definitely a Thibodeau.
Paranoia in New York.
Yeah. You're going to get tough defense from him. You're going to get a good mentality, but you're also going to get guys out there maybe a little longer than they should be. And that's just kind of, they go hand in hand.
It's funny because there's also those coaches that will use their bench effectively all year, and then the playoffs come and they don't use their bench at all.
Right.
And that is 100% a coaching thing.
Right.
And that one always amazes me, because you're like, okay, you have a bench that's used to getting work. They're effective. They're the reason you're in the playoffs. And then you're just like, yeah, it's cool. You don't even need to put a jersey on. You guys are good. Get some popcorn. You guys are watching.
Yep.
Never understood that coaching philosophy.
I don't get it either.
Yeah. They just tightened up their rotations. Yeah.
I think the answer to Roger's question is Herb.
Out of us? I don't know. Because I don't.
It is not me.
I don't like being second guessed, and I don't like making a decision. I'm gonna look over and LeBron's going like this. I'm like, okay.
I would yell at your so-called king.
Oh yeah.
So
I would give you a king's fist and tell him to sit his behind down. So I'm not.
No. You guys aren't doing the cartoon. Everybody steps back, and I'm just left out front. No, this is.
Hey, Bo went for a drink of coffee. He looked back up at me and Mr. Yu were. He's like, I'm
just telling you the truth. It's not me. I need a man for the job. I had a chance to coach little league and youth things around here. And you know what I said? No, because them kids be up inside there crying.
Yeah, all of a sudden I'd be quoting Samuel L. Jackson as I look around where you guys went. All right. Well, with 15 minutes to go, let me do the station break real quick. And of course, we kick this thing off with True Fusion Gyms right here in the Pacific Northwest. They have 3 locations, new one in University Village and their existing ones in Ballard and Bellevue. If you click the QR code on your screen right now, you end up with a free 5-day pass, and everything from Pilates, boot camp, yoga, you name it, it's definitely the gym for you. So again, get in on that free 5-day pass. Find your edge, True Fusion Gym. And of course, if you are here in the Seattle area today, we have one of the AFL teams, and they're doing a meet and greet at the Queen Anne Beer Hall. If you came out for the draft event for the Seahawks, it's the same location. So we will be out there tonight talking with our AFL team here. Should be a lot of fun. Come on out, have some beer, and talk to the team. All right.
Wow, these comments are just incredible. I don't even know where to go with that one.
Yeah, I used to wear goggles when I first started playing. It was one of my best psychological advantages ever. Yeah, nobody wanted the guy with the goggles. So.
I don't know if you understand what you're saying right now. I don't know if you understand the ramification of what you're saying right now. there might be a picture out there of you in these goggles. And
I hope so.
If I could find one,
if
I could find one, I will bring it on. Oh, because there's worse pictures, so the goggles might actually be a step
may
up.
already have it. Do you want that smoke? Is my question.
I ain't afraid of Raj. So if I find the picture first, I will present it to the show first, either on Monday or Wednesday, whichever
on
one.
Monday, please.
Yeah.
Oh, sound like challenge accepted.
I can find. He's a little too excited about. You're not doing any work today. I can just tell. His boss comes in, like, Raj, can we talk for a minute? Raj's like, hold on a second.
Capital letters.
No, exactly. Yeah. He's like, absolutely not. We cannot talk right now.
His boss is like, we need TPS reports that. Where the TPS reports? He's like, hold on now, goggles.
Yeah. I'm so tired of these bosses want me to do work at work. Like, this is ridiculous.
The worst. Oh man, that is priceless. Well, as we transition into football here, we have a new champion in the UFL, and of course, it's the Stallions in a very lopsided, terrible football game. Not a great look for a new league to have such a bad showing in their championship game. And, you know, I really wanted to see something a little more competitive out of Wade Phillips.
Yeah.
Man, here's the only thing I can say about it. I've shared so much about this. I don't know where else to go next, but here's my thing. You guys have watched Martinez, right? You guys have watched him play, right? I'm trying to find out how he became considered the best in the league. I'm trying to figure out when did that happen? Have y'all seen Hakeem Butler? This man led the league in receiving yards per catch. I mean, fourth most receptions. I mean, second most receiving scores. This man got multiple 100-yard receiving games. Only one of two receivers in the entire league that had that. Top three performances of the entire season. Two, I think one was 147, the other one was 134. I mean, if anybody's going to be the best or the MVP, why is his name not in that? But no, we got Martinez, somebody who, got the job from Corral. I don't know if Corral lost it or Martinez won it. I think Herb probably can answer that question better than I can. I'm saying he's third in passing yards, second in passing TDs, tied for that second place spot. I mean, it's all good. I'm cool with that. But it's like, if he's the best, what does that say about the entire situation? It doesn't sound like I am being for Butler only because I've seen Butler do some amazing things. I think that if things work out well, he can be back. He can be back. Well, I don't know, was he ever in the league? Well, if he wasn't, he can be in the NFL
right
now. You know what I'm saying?
It's worse.
It's worse.
It's worse when you watch a full game or watch in person everything you're saying about Martinez. I'll give you the stats and not even just watch it. He got the championship game MVP. He was 13 for 23 for 98 yards. And then you add, it's the 54 rushing yards and 2 rushing touchdowns, which, it's not like he was scampering up and down the field. There's like a famous moment late in that game, I think I mentioned on Monday, where he was one-on-one with the defender, ran out of bounds. And even though they had a lead, the coach went to him and goes, like, you can beat that one guy. Like, you can get around that edge and go, Like, this is what I expect from you, especially if you're going to be a rushing quarterback. But the one touchdown he threw, that was terrible. Guy cuts wide open, great play. Everybody's played off. Yeah. And the guy has time enough to stop, reach back, catch it, turn around, and walk into the end zone. That's how bad the defense was. But I'm thinking, on a wide open play, you're not hitting the guy in stride. So everything that you're saying about Martinez, it's actually worse than what you think. The one playoff game I went to watch in person, he gets pulled for Corral at halftime. And yeah, Corral started off, shaky at the beginning, throwing an interception, but I forgive that if, you're coming in halfway through the third quarter, you give him a chance to get going. And the rest of the game, the throws just look better. But I don't know that Martinez has thrown a pass in the playoffs that I watched and thought, yeah, that was a good pass. There were several times in the game against San Antonio where the receiver was, had the yard of separation that you need, whatever, and it's a pass breakup, and you go back and look at the thing, and here's the pass that's right here.
That's the thing. They were all behind him.
Yes. You know what I mean? So every point that you said, yeah, exactly. Every point that you made, it's actually worse than what you think. Butler doesn't even have to be like, to me, great to be the MVP. But when they said, yeah, Martinez probably going to be MVP, I was like, the guy on the field right now? Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm.
I just keep thinking there's another Martinez.
There's no part of me that doesn't believe that if the Battlehawks had a healthy quarterback, even a competent one, that they wouldn't have been able to win it all. Yeah, I've been beating the table for St. Louis because they got robbed of the NFL team and they deserve to have some love out there football wise. So I definitely want that for them anyhow, or no matter how you slice it. But come on, man. If they had a healthy quarterback, there's no way in the world we'd even be talking about, no offense to Birmingham or San Antonio. I don't think it'd be happening. I think we'd be talking about St. Louis hoisting the trophy. I really feel like they have that kind of talent. I've been watching that all year. They've been beating people up for the most part.
They had a
like,
good
I don't,
team. They had a good team for sure. Before he re-injured that ankle in that game, they were losing that game anyway.
Right.
So it's not like they were playing out of their minds before he got re-injured. So, I mean, now re-injuring it obviously didn't help. But, I mean, they were decidedly losing that game anyway.
Right. So let's keep it where it is then. Talk about quarterbacks. So that man's not that Martinez is better than that man.
No, that's not what we're talking about.
No, that's what I'm talking about.
No, but you can't say that quarterback's better, that quarterback, so that team's better. No, like overall, the Stallions I think still had a really good team.
No question.
Like they've already beat them once this year, so with a healthy quarterback. So we can't just say, that they would definitely win, because then weren't they even had the better record? They only lost one game all year. I think they were 7-3 for St. Louis. So that's we're not doing apples to apples there. Do they have the better quarterback? Yeah, but the Stallions still had a really good team on a really good run. So I don't think it's like you have a healthy quarterback, you're definitely in it. It's like Bo said, they weren't winning their last game when he was healthy.
Yeah,
so
I mean,
I don't think
that's why Trent Dilfer has a ring and Dan Marino doesn't. Quarterback play doesn't necessarily mean you win.
Yeah. So I'm on board with the Stallions. Martinez is not the greatest, but he's also not their only option if things are going wrong. So they probably have the best 1-2 punch as far as quarterbacks in the league. Can't tell if he's frozen or if he's just like.
I think he's frozen.
I'm not frozen. I'm just listening to you guys. I mean,
no. I don't think.
I wasn't trying to do a first hit debate. I was saying I just feel like if they, all things being equal, I think that they had all around. I think they were better on both sides. And that was I mentioned the quarterback because Martinez got the MVP, and look at what you're saying about him. You know what I'm saying? So it's like if anybody is even marginally better than that. What does that mean? What does that indicate? That means that perhaps they can have similar, at least equal success at the very least, or more. Because
I think it's definitely one of those any given Sunday type of teams. I mean, they can beat you, but I don't think they're enough better that that's a foregone conclusion.
Right.
The Stallions are a good team, and even if you don't love the quarterback play, the rest of the team is nice.
Yeah.
I mean, the receivers are obviously pretty good because they have to try and reach back and catch every ball behind them.
Yes.
That's a talent.
And we're not talking about like an undefeated St. Louis team going in there. They had 3 regular season losses, then they lost the playoff game. Like it's not like they were some juggernaut just sweeping through the league.
Exactly.
No, I'm not saying that much.
You said you clearly thought they were going to win. I disagree.
Yeah, I thought that from the beginning.
I disagree that. Yeah, I disagree with that one wholeheartedly.
Yeah,
so.
That's true. Ain't the first time.
Yeah. And you're talking about a team that had already beat them once that year too. So it's not like it was clear.
And you're talking about a team that, even though it doesn't count, just won 3 championships in a row.
And it does count for us, baby.
That's right. It counts in one state.
Yes.
Everyone else is like, they got one because this league is 1 year old. But yes,
we will take it.
Yep. No, it's like what we said before, right? It's going to be like the championships versus the Super Bowls. Although the championships count, you look back at them more as a conference championship as opposed to the Super Bowl, right?
Right.
So, although they exist, nobody's going to care. It does make you wonder what it is in store for this league next year, though, because they've already talked about trying to bring some of their disbanded teams back. And, if they had the viewership to support that, that's kind of awesome.
Right.
because I really didn't think they were going to the way that they merge. But when you have games that had, over 1 million viewers, that's pretty fantastic for a startup league that really hasn't had the best marketing either.
Right. Well, it's like we said, I just think they put too much in Texas to start this. And so they didn't grab as many people around the country as they possibly could have. And then you probably end up with one of the worst situations for your channel. I mean, it seems like it still drew decent numbers, but it really, I think, needed St. Louis to be in the championship game. And then that didn't happen either. So because of being in St. Louis, so then it's just a couple missteps here and there. How I felt about the Birmingham first game going up against the 8A game. Just like little tweaks here and there, and that's the only teams I'm paying attention to. So I don't really kind of know how the rest of them navigated it. But
I mean, St. Louis didn't need to make it there for the first one. I mean, it took 50 years before the Super Bowl was finally held at a team that was in it. So, I mean, I don't think you really have to do that, but.
Well, you're talking about stadiums where like we're only putting people on half the side. I think for them, it would have been much better viewership wise. Yeah, we're going to Super Bowl regardless of who shows up. But for their league in the first year, I think that would have helped, at least for the home attendance. I think if you're watching, there's probably 2 markets who were really watching. And I already said it. Birmingham wasn't in it, I wasn't watching. So maybe that doesn't affect your viewership at all. It might not.
I need me a UFL team. I don't have one. I need me one.
We can start.
Where can I buy one of these?
I mean, you could probably get a credit card and put it on there. there's probably a path.
Yeah,
adding to the league. I'm like, where they getting the team from? Where the players at?
Yeah.
What are they doing right now?
That's my bigger question. Do you dilute
before they add 2 more teams? What are they doing right now? What are the players that don't have a team? What are they doing right now? They bagging groceries?
That's my worry. That is my worry. For them
I mean, not necessarily. I know some of them went into the AFL because they're playing at the exact same time. There's 2 games left.
Oh yeah, where does that start?
Yeah, exactly.
the who? I started to go the who?
Yeah, but there's only 2 games left in that league. So any of them any of them that didn't make it are, went and checked that stuff out. I mean,
Raj, I hear you, Raj. I hear you. I tried, but for some reason, this is nothing against Michigan. I tried, but it's like I'm not connecting. It could be all my fault, but I'm not connecting. So I don't see that right now. Is there a New York team in the works? Is that one of the teams coming in?
No.
Next year, are they adding a New York team? Or are we still talking about some regional nonsense?
It's going to be, from the sound of it, it was going to be one of the Florida teams was going to come back potentially.
I lived in Florida. Did that count?
So there was
in Florida right now. Is that good?
It was going to be 2 Southeast teams. Was the sound of it? So it's still going to remain a regional thing.
Yeah.
So they're not trying to bring back the West Coast yet either. And I think some of that is just the cost of travel and everything. I think there's just some logistics thing that they're trying to limit the amount of overhead, which I mean is smart business, but as far as getting viewers from the West Coast, it doesn't help anything out.
Right.
Well, Florida team, I think. Well, I lived there for a little while. Maybe I can. I'm in the Southeast. Maybe I can get with that a little bit. Maybe that's an option for me since the New York Guardians are clearly out of the running. So as it seems, so maybe I can go with a Southeast team. So maybe I can give that a try. Michigan Panthers. Yeah, Rock. I don't think so.
And that brings us to the top of the hour, man. That always goes quick, puts us up against it. And so if you are watching here on YouTube on any of our channels, be sure to like and subscribe. If you're on Roku, stay tuned for the next hour. Other than that, we will see you next Wednesday. Take it easy, everyone.
Yeah.